Ladies, a lot of people misunderstand distance. They think distance means coldness, punishment, or manipulation. But real distance is none of that. Real distance is wisdom. Real distance is when you finally stop overextending yourself just to be chosen. Because the truth is, a man does not decide to commit when you are constantly present. He decides when he has space to recognize what life feels like without you. Men don't fall in love the same way women do. Women fall in love through connection, communication, and closeness. Men fall in love through realization, and realization almost always comes through absence. When you are always there, always available, always understanding, always forgiving, a man gets comfortable. Comfort feels good, but comfort does not create urgency, and commitment requires urgency. A man must feel that if he doesn't step up, he might lose you, not because you threaten him, not because you beg him, but because your lie continues whether he's ready or not. Distance gives him time to think. And thinking is dangerous for a man who knows deep down that he has found a good woman but hasn't acted right. When you pull back, his routine changes. Your voice isn't there. Your messages stop lighting up his phone. The emotional support he leaned on quietly disappears. And that's when the questions start showing up in his mind. He starts wondering why things feel different. He starts noticing the silence. He starts replaying conversation. He starts realizing how much peace you brought into his life without demanding recognition for it. And slowly, he understands something important. Your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. Distance forces a man to face himself. It removes the distractions. No more easy access. No more emotional safety net without responsibility. No more knowing you'll be there no matter what. And when that safety disappears, a man either grows or walks away. Both outcomes are blessings. Because the man who walks away was never prepared to be a husband. A husband does not run from responsibility. A husband rises when he feels something valuable slipping through his fingers. When you create distance, you're not trying to control him. You're controlling yourself. You're choosing peace over anxiety. You're choosing dignity over desperation. You're choosing to start explaining your worth to someone who should already see it. And that shift changes how a man looks at you. He stops seeing you as someone who will always be there, regardless of his effort. He starts seeing you as a woman with boundaries, standards, and self-respect. And men respect what has boundaries. A woman who knows when to step back sends a powerful message without saying a word. The message is simple. I value myself enough to walk away from confusion. I value my time. I value my heart. I value my future. And when a man sees that something clicks, because men don't marry women they can play with forever. They marry women they are afraid to lose. Distance also gives you clarity. It removes the emotional fog. It helps you see whether his actions match his words. It shows you if he misses you or just misses the convenience of you. It shows you if he's willing to adjust, grow, and pursue, or if he was only comfortable receiving without giving. Distance reveals character. It exposes intentions. It tells the truth that words never will. A man who sees you as his wife will not be comfortable in the distance. He will feel it deeply. He will reflect. He will question his behavior. He will realize that love requires effort, consistency, and direction. He will understand that a woman like you is not easily replaced. And if he's ready, he will come back with clarity, purpose, and commitment. Not confusion, not excuses, commitment. But here's the part many people don't want to hear. Distance doesn't guarantee that he'll come back. And that's okay, because distance is not about keeping a man. It's about keeping your self-worth. If distance makes him disappear, then he was never meant to be your husband. He was only meant to teach you what you deserve. And that lesson is just as valuable. A woman who's meant to be a wife does not chase validation. She attracts recognition. She does not beg for clarity. She creates space until clarity shows itself. She does not force timelines. She allows actions to speak louder than promises. And she understands that love without respect is not love at all. Distance also allows him to miss you the right way. Not the physical presence only, but the emotional energy you brought, the way you listened, the way you supported, the way you believed in him, the way you added peace instead of pressure. And when that energy is gone, he feels it. Men feel lost deeply, even when they don't express it immediately. Silence gives those feelings room to grow. You don't need to announce your distance. You don't need dramatic exits. You don't need explanations. You simply shift your energy back to yourself. You focus on your growth, your healing, your goals, your happiness. And when a man sees that you're not waiting around, not stuck, not broken without him, that's when he truly sees you. Because confidence is magnetic, independence is powerful, peace is attractive. A future husband is not threatened by your strength. He is drawn to it. He doesn't want a woman who needs him to survive. He wants a woman who chooses him, not depends on him. Distance shows him that you are whole on your own. And a man is more likely to commit to a woman who is complete than one who is clinging. In the end, distance is not about teaching him a lesson. It's about honoring yourself. It's about trusting that what's meant for you will rise to meet your standards. It's about understanding that the right man won't need constant reminders of your value. He will feel it when you're gone, respect it when you're present, and protect it when he commits. And when a man finally realizes that losing you is a real possibility, something changes inside him. Fear turns into focus. Confusion turns into intention. Comfort turns into action. And that's when he stops seeing you as just a woman he enjoys having around and starts seeing you as the woman he cannot afford to lose. Most women are taught that love is proven by endurance. Stay longer. Try harder. Be more patient. Be more understanding, but very few are taught that love is also revealed by restraint. Knowing when to step back is just as important as knowing when to lean in. Distance is not rejection. It is discernment. It is the moment you decide that your heart deserves peace, not confusion, and clarity, not constant guessing. When you create distance, you are not abandoning love. You are refusing to abandon yourself. Men experience love differently. A woman often connects to communication and emotional closeness, but a man connects to awareness. Awareness comes when something he values is no longer constantly available. When your presence becomes predictable, its impact becomes invisible. But when your presence is removed, its value becomes undeniable. Silence creates space, and space creates reflection. That reflection is where commitment begins to form. When you stop being the one who always reaches out, always checks in, always smooths things over, the dynamic shifts. He begins to notice the absence of your energy, not just your messages, but the emotional comfort you brought into his life. He notices that the days feel heavier, quieter, less supported, and whether he admits it or not, he feels the loss. That feeling is important because men are moved by what they feel, not by what they are told. Distance interrupts complacency. Complacency is the enemy of commitment. When a man believes you will always be there, regardless of his effort, there is no urgency to grow, decide, or lead. Distance removes that safety net. It forces him to confront the reality that access to you is not automatic. And when access is not automatic, it must be earned. That realization is powerful. Creating distance is also an act of self-respect. It says you will no longer pour into something that is not pouring back into you. It says your time and emotional energy are valuable. Men may not always respond immediately to words, but they respond to boundaries. Boundaries change behavior. Boundaries redefine value. A woman who sets boundaries is no longer taken for granted. She is taken seriously. Distance also reveals truth. It shows whether he is attached to you or simply attached to the convenience of you. There is a difference. Convenience disappears when effort is required. Love remains when you step back. You see who reaches forward. You see who adjusts. You see who takes responsibility. And that clarity protects your future. A man who sees you as his wife will not be comfortable with emotional distance. He will feel unsettled, not because he is losing control, but because he is losing connection. He will reflect on his actions. He will question his priorities. He will recognize that what he had with you was rare. And if he is ready, he will move with intention, not excuses. He will come back with clarity, not confusion. But distance also strengthens you. It shifts your focus inward. You stop monitoring his behavior and start reconnecting with your own needs. You rediscover your confidence, your joy, your independence, and the inner shift is visible. Men sense when a woman no longer depends on them for emotional stability. That independence is attractive because it signals strength, not fear. Many women are afraid that distance will push a man away, but distance does not push away what is meant to stay. It only removes what was never solid to begin with. A man who disappears when distance is created was never planning to commit. He was only enjoying the benefits without the responsibility. Losing him is not a loss. It is protection. Distance is not silent treatment. It is not manipulation. It is alignment. It is choosing behavior that matches your values. It is refusing to argue for attention or affection. It is letting actions speak louder than promises. And when a man is faced with silence instead of explanation, he listens more closely to his own conscience. There is something powerful about a woman who can walk away with grace. No drama, no threats, no begging, just quiet confidence. That confidence changes how a man sees her. He stops seeing her as someone he can delay, ignore, or keep uncertain. He starts seeing her as a woman with options. And men respect women with options. Distance also removes illusion. It strips away hope based on potential and replaces it with truth based on behavior. It helps you see the relationship for what it is, not what you wish it could be. That truth is sometimes painful, but it is always freeing, and freedom is necessary for healthy love. A man who is meant to be a husband understands leadership. Leadership requires decisiveness. Distance challenges a man to decide. Either he steps into his role or he steps aside. There is no room for confusion when a woman knows her worth, and a man who is ready will rise to that clarity. As you grow comfortable with distance, you realize that your peace does not depend on his response. You begin to trust that what aligns with you will stay aligned. You stop chasing outcomes and start honoring standards. That shift is subtle but transformative. It changes the energy of everything you touch. Men often realize the depth of their feelings only after experiencing loss. Not because they lack emotion, but because they process emotion differently. Distance gives those emotions space to surface. It allows longing to replace familiarity, and longing creates intention. You are not meant to convince a man to choose you. You are meant to be chosen by a man who sees your value without persuasion. Distance allows that recognition to happen naturally. It removes pressure and reveals truth. It filters out indecision and highlights commitment. When a man begins to see you as his wife, it is not because you stay through confusion. It is because you refuse to accept it. It is because you showed him through your actions that you are a woman who values herself. And men marry women they respect as much as they love. Distance also prepares you for the kind of love that lasts. It teaches you patience, self-control, and emotional maturity. It reminds you that love should add to your life, not consume it. A healthy relationship is built on two whole people choosing each other, not clinging to each other out of fear. As time passes, you may notice that your absence carries more weight than your presence ever did. That is not because you are withholding love, but because you are protecting it. Love must be nurtured, not drained. And when a man understands that, he begins to approach you differently. You begin to realize that you never needed to shrink yourself to be loved. You never needed to chase or prove or wait indefinitely. All you needed was the courage to step back and trust your worth. Distance reveals who is willing to meet you there. A man who truly sees you as his wife will not want to lose the woman who knows when to walk away. He will respect her strength, admire her discipline, and value her presence even more because he understands that it is not guaranteed, and that understanding changes everything. Distance is often misunderstood because people confuse it with punishment or emotional withdrawal. In reality, distance is awareness in action. It is the moment you decide that your emotional energy deserves direction instead of being scattered. When you stop reaching, stop reminding, stop explaining, and stop chasing clarity, you create a pause. And in that pause, a man is forced to feel what your constant presence once softened. Men are not awakened by repetition. They are awakened by silence. When you are always present, you unknowingly remove the opportunity for a man to recognize your impact. Your care becomes routine. Your patience becomes expected. Your forgiveness becomes automatic. Over time, what once felt special becomes familiar, and familiarity without responsibility breeds neglect. Distance interrupts that cycle. It removes the cushion that made him comfortable delaying decisions. Suddenly, he is left alone with his thoughts, and those thoughts begin to question what he has taken for granted. A man may not immediately react to distance, but he always registers it. At first, there is confusion, then curiosity, then reflection. He starts noticing small things he overlooked before. The calm you brought, the encouragement you offered, the way you made life lighter, without asking for applause. Without your presence, those things echo louder, and it is in that echo that appreciation is born. Distance also corrects imbalance. When one person gives more, waits more, hopes more, the relationship slowly tilts. One becomes secure while the other becomes anxious. Distance restores balance by returning your energy back to yourself. You stop investing where there is uncertainty and start investing where there is growth. That shift does not go unnoticed. A man senses when a woman is no longer emotionally available for confusion. There is power in restraint, power in not reacting, power in choosing calm over confrontation. When you create distance, you stop arguing for understanding. You stop negotiating for consistency. You allow your absence to communicate what words could not. Men listen differently when words disappear. Silence removes distraction and forces truth to surface. Distance does not make you cold. It makes you centered. It allows you to detach from outcomes and reconnect with self-respect. You begin to see the situation clearly instead of emotionally. You notice patterns instead of promises. And clarity is dangerous to anything that survives on excuses. A man who is not serious feels exposed by distance. A man who's serious feels activated by it. A woman who knows how to step back is no longer easily influenced by fear. She is no longer afraid of losing someone who's unsure. She understands that uncertainty is not love and delay is not devotion. That confidence changes her posture, her energy, her tone. She no longer asks where she stands. She observes where she is placed. Distance also shifts the power dynamic, not in a manipulative way, but in a natural one. Power returns to the person who can walk away without chaos. A man respects what he cannot control. When he realizes that your presence is a choice, not an obligation, his perception changes. He begins to see you as someone who has options, standards, and self-command. Men commit when they feel the weight of consequence. Distance introduces consequence without confrontation. It shows him that life continues without him at the center of it. That realization can be uncomfortable, but growth often is. If he values you, that discomfort turns into action. If he does not, the distance reveals it quickly. Distance also protects your emotional health. It prevents over-attachment to potential. It keeps you from waiting endlessly for clarity that may never come. Instead of watching his behavior closely, you start watching your own peace. You become less reactive and more intentional. That emotional maturity is what separates a woman from being seen as temporary, from being seen as a wife. A man who is ready for marriage does not fear boundaries. He respects them. He understands that a woman who values herself will not tolerate confusion. Distance signals that you are not willing to remain in uncertainty. That message challenges him to rise to your level or remove himself from your path. When distance is created, emotional dependency dissolves. You stop seeking reassurance and start trusting your intuition. You realize that love should not require constant effort to sustain interest. Genuine interest sustains itself through action. Distance gives you space to see whether effort exists or only intention. Men often do not recognize the depth of their feelings until they are forced to sit with them. Distance gives them that space. Without your constant presence, emotions surface naturally. Longing replaces comfort. Thought replaces habit. And in that shift, feelings become clearer. A woman who can step back without bitterness sends a powerful signal. It says she values peace over attachment and dignity over attention. That energy is rare. And rarity is what creates value. A man begins to see her differently, not because she demanded it, but because she embodied it. Distance also refines your expectations. You stop hoping someone will change and start accepting who they are showing you they can be. That acceptance brings calm, and calm attracts respect. A man senses when a woman is no longer emotionally invested in an outcome. That neutrality removes pressure and invites honesty. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you will be okay regardless of his decision. That confidence is not loud. It does not announce itself. It simply exists, and men feel it. They sense when a woman is no longer waiting, no longer chasing, no longer anchored on uncertainty. Distance teaches patience, but not passive waiting. It teaches trust in timing and truth. It reminds you that what is meant for you will not require constant effort to keep. It will meet you halfway. A man who sees you as his wife will not allow distance to remain. He will close it with clarity, commitment, and intention. If distance causes a man to disappear, it confirms what words tried to hide. And that confirmation is freedom. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer hoping. You are moving forward with truth. And truth, even when painful, always leads to peace. Distance is not a strategy. It is a standard. It is choosing to live in alignment with your worth. It is trusting that love rooted in respect will survive space. And the man who is meant to stand beside you will recognize your absence not as loss, but as a reminder of what truly matters. Distance often feels frightening because it goes against everything we are taught about love. We are taught to hold on, to explain, to fight for connection at all costs. But there comes a moment when holding on too tightly begins to cost you your peace. Distance is not about giving up. It is about choosing yourself when uncertainty becomes a pattern. It is the quiet decision to stop pouring energy into something that is not giving you clarity in return. When you step back, you remove the noise. No constant checking. No repeated conversations. No emotional overfunctioning. And in that silence, a man is left alone with his own thoughts. Men do not respond well to pressure, but they respond deeply to realization. Realization only comes when something meaningful is no longer guaranteed. Distance creates that moment of awareness. A man becomes comfortable when he believes access to you is permanent. Comfort slowly turns into delay. Delay turns into excuses. And excuses turn into disappointment. Distance interrupts that progression. It breaks the illusion that time is unlimited. It reminds him that a woman with self-respect will not wait forever. That reminder does not need words. It is felt. Your absence changes his emotional environment. The support you gave, the understanding you offered, the peace you brought, all of it becomes noticeable only when it is gone. Men often do not appreciate consistency until it disappears. That absence creates contrast, and contrast creates appreciation. Appreciation is the foundation of commitment. Distance also recalibrates your emotional sphere. Instead of focusing on what he is doing or not doing, you begin to focus on how you feel. You notice where you have been settling. You recognize the moments where you silenced your needs to avoid conflict. That awareness is empowering. It returns control back to you. When you are no longer readily available, his behavior becomes clearer. A man who values you will seek understanding, not comfort. He will reflect on his actions. He will feel the shift and question his priorities. A man who was only enjoying convenience will drift away. Both outcomes are answers. Distance never confuses, it clarifies. There is strength in not reacting immediately, strength in letting silence do the work. When you stop responding to inconsistency with emotion, you remove its power. A man senses when a woman is no longer emotionally reactive. That calmness forces him to take responsibility for the dynamic instead of leaning on your patience. Distance also protects you from emotional exhaustion. Constantly waiting, hoping, and interpreting signals drains your energy. Stepping back allows your nervous system to reset. You begin to feel lighter, more grounded, more connected to yourself. That inner stability changes how you show up in every area of your life. A woman who is grounded does not seek validation. She does not chase reassurance. She trusts that what is meant for her will meet her where she stands. That trust is magnetic. Men are drawn to women who are secure within themselves because it signals emotional maturity. Distance challenges a man to lead. Leadership requires decision-making. When you remove yourself from uncertainty, you force a choice. Either he steps forward with clarity or he steps aside. There is no room for ambiguity when a woman sets boundaries with her actions. And a man who is ready for commitment will respond to that clarity. As you create space, you begin to see the relationship more honestly. You stop romanticizing potential and start observing behavior. You notice whether effort increases or fades. That observation is not done with anxiety, but with calm curiosity. And that shift changes everything. Distance teaches you that love should not require constant effort.